maybe I get some of the sponsor. Barry, you got a few thousand like to give me just to sponsor me over your money card? And would Nancy allow you in the first place? Okay. The mechanics of playing the game is very, very simple. The setup. When you sat down and the board was set up in its original position, you should have had 5 white checkers sitting up against the raised area in the middle, which is known as the bar. Now this might be on your right or it might be on your left. Most of the boards I set up myself, I put those 5 checkers just to the right of the bar. But if the stage you got them just to the left of the bar, that's fine. What you should then have are 3 checkers that are set up 2 spaces behind where you got the 5 checkers set up. Okay? I should mention that the 5 checkers are set up is your 6 point, and your home board is numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, with 6 being the spot where the 5 checkers reside. Then the 8 point is the space where you have 3 checkers, and that is 2 spaces behind you got 5 checkers. Then several spaces later, you have 5 checkers on your midpoint, also known as the 13 point. It's 13 away from the beginning of the board. And you got 2 checkers that are all the way over on your opponent's 1 point. It's also known as your own 24 point. Those 2 checkers are the ones that have to move all the way around the board to get home. And then you can take them all off once you get them all off. We'll get more to that later on as I go. If you got the board set up correctly, the white checkers will be a mirror image of the other color. That way, of course, at the beginning of the game, both players have the same setup. Okay? And the total pip count is 167. If you play on sites like Yahoo and so on, at the beginning of the game, it will show you the pip count. It will show it to you continuously, unless you choose to turn that feature off. So as you move, you'll see how your pip count changes. And when you hit somebody, you'll see how their pip count goes up. Because now you're going to pick that checker and re-enter it, so it's basically on the 25 point, in the sense where you're on the bar. There's 25 spaces from being at the 1 point. Each player does have a dice cup and 2 dice. Now, on some of the boards, you might only have 2 dice total. If so, you can just share the dice instead. But generally, you got 4 dice and 2 cups. Each person has only 2 dice. The object is to move all your checkers around into your home board. Again, that's the one that starts out with 5 checkers and a 6 point. So you got 5 checkers there already. You only got 10 more checkers you got to get in. And 3 of them are almost in already. You're only 2 spaces out. You got those other 5 checkers that are halfway around, and those 2, of course, are way far away. The hardest thing to do, of course, is to get those 2 checkers there on your opponent's 1 point all the way around and home. And safely. Because as you move them, there'll be times when they'll be exposed to being hit. And you're going to go to the bar. I'll get into that a little bit more in a few minutes, towards the end of the lecture. Once you do get all your checkers home, then you can start taking them off. And once you take off all your checkers, you won the game. It's as simple as that. Okay, so a child can learn how to play. In fact, my son is here today who's shooting me. And when he was only 5 years old, I was able to teach him just the basics of the play. Not stretch, just simply you roll these dice, you move these checkers. And he was able to do this. And a few years later, his younger brother did the same thing. Now, no, these 2 guys never became great backgammon players. They just never had the interest in it. But even at the age of 5 years old, they were actually able to sit down and play a game with me. And once in a while, they'd even win. Because they'd get dice rolls that were good enough that they were able to beat me. And I was not just letting them win. I was trying to win, and I could still lose to a 5-year-old kid who just learned how to play. And that's just the nature of backgammon. There is a lot of luck involved, and that way. But in the long run, the people that know how to play best will win the majority of games. When you start out, each guy rolls just 1 die. And this determines 2 things. The first thing it determines is who's going to make the first move. and that goes to who rolls the higher die. The second thing that determines is what is the first move of the game, or what's the first roll of the game. For example, if the guy with the white checkers rolls a 5, and the guy with the other colored checkers rolls a 6, then the guy who's not white will move 65. Then the white checkers player rolls 2 dice and moves his checkers and so on. He just alternate checkers from that point forward. The dice roll will determine exactly what you do with your checkers. And you should think about it as 2 separate moves. In general, you move 1 checker, 1 number, and then a different checker, another number. Though, optionally, you can move 1 checker, both numbers. Sometimes you'll want to do that. I'd say most of the time it's not true, but sometimes it is. When you do move, you can only move to an open point. And I'll define an open point as follows. An open point is a point that currently has no checkers all sitting on it, or it has a point that's occupied by 1 or more of your own checkers, or it's a point that's occupied by exactly 1 of your opponent's checkers. Okay? And if it is occupied by your opponent's checker, and you choose to land there, then you hit your opponent, put his check on the bar. He must re-enter on your own board to get started again. If he's not able to do that, he loses his turn. So you don't really want to get hit a lot, because if you get hit a lot, what happens? You lose a lot. So you can still win. It's amazing how many times you can be in a hopeless position in backgammon, and somehow or other you still win the game. If that's never happened to you, go ahead and say this: you haven't played backgammon enough. Right, Gary? Barry and I, each of us, have many, many times been in a position we had no business winning, and yet we won. And of course, our opponent has done the same thing to us. We had a game we should have won 99.99% of the time, and yet we did not win. So it happens to everybody. That's what I guess keeps people coming back to play. You know, hey, I became an expert last week. I just learned how to play 2 days ago. Well, you know, that's right. You can. But if you play them all often enough, you're not going to win in the long run. That much will be promise you. If you have to roll doubles, you get to play that move and then the same move again. In other words, a roll of 6-6 entitles you to move 4 different checkers, 6 each. Yes, you might decide to move 2 checkers, 12 each. You might move 2 checkers, 6 each, and 2 other checkers, 6 each. So, you must use positive numbers if it's possible to do so. Now, sometimes to make that happen, you'll be required to play the smaller number first, and then the bigger number. Or sometimes you have to play the bigger number first, and the smaller number. But you cannot just simply play one of them and forfeit the other, unless it's not possible to make both moves. Then you would have to just make move the higher piece. If you're only able to move the smaller one, then you just do that. A block is known as a single checker, is vulnerable to attack by the opponent. And as I mentioned before, if you land on your opponent's single checker, you hit it and place it on the bar. And then on his next turn, he must enter on his opponent's home board by landing on an open point. When all 15 of your checkers are on your home board, which is your point numbers 1 through 6, and only on those points, then you can take checkers off. But it's not a requirement. In other words, when you roll a 3, you might have the option to take the checker off your 3 point. But you can also elect to move a checker from the 6 to the 3, or from the 5 to the 2, or from the 4 to the 1. If you have no checkers on the 6, the 5, the 4, or the 3, and you roll, say, double 3s, then you take checkers off on the 2 and 1, the 2 point,